Hey guys, this is Chris Calloway with Calloway Classics. Just here to showcase one of our cars today, but real quick, give you a little bit of background information on us. We are a small classic car dealership located in Marshall, Virginia. We operate out of two buildings that had previously been the longest continuous Ford dealership in America, built in 1915. It stayed in operation as a Ford dealership until 2019. We mainly focus on 60s and early 70s American cars and trucks, but we also do deal with some newer specialty vehicles, such as this 2015 Hellcat Dodge Challenger with 218 miles on it, and also some newer Japanese cars from the 90s and 2000s. So we'll head on outside and take a look at the car that we're going to give the rundown on. So today we've got a 1970 Ford Mustang Boss 302. So throughout this video, I'm just going to tell you general knowledge about the Boss 302, what I know about this particular car, and we'll also take a look up and down the body, on the sides, get a better look at the paint, take a look underneath, and at the end take it for a test drive. So in case you're not familiar with the Boss 302, it was a performance package that you could get on the Mustang back in 1969 and 70. What it gave you was a slightly different appearance. It had reflective stripes, different suspension, and the biggest thing was the motor itself, which was a small block 302 specific to the Boss 302, meaning that it wasn't like the previous generation 302s. It actually had different heads, which are closer in size to the 351 Cleveland big block cars. It also had solid lifters from the factory, and another unique trait to the Boss 302s was it had rolled fenders in the front. You'll take a peek at those later on when we're underneath the car. So in '69 they made very few Boss 302s. They only had about a little over 1,600 made, and in '70 a little over 7,000 made. So this car is finished in medium lime metallic, which is very similar to lime gold, but also very different. So the coupe that we had inside, the 68, that's in lime gold. So if you take a look at that video, you'll see the difference between the two colors. So they made 752 Boss 302s in this color here. So we've had this car since 2005. It's got a lot of nice originality to it. It is numbers matching motor and trans. It's had one repaint on it as far as we know, but other than that, it's got a lot of neat original parts that we'll get into later on. And when I say it has a lot of originality, I mean it hasn't gone through a full nut and bolt restoration top to bottom. So it still has undercoating underneath. And this is a real Boss 302. Easiest surefire way to tell is in the VIN. The fifth digit is a letter on most of the Fords from this era. It tells you what motor the car left the factory with, or the truck. This is a G, and that means it's a Boss 302. So we can take a look at that VIN plate up here on the dash. And then another way to confirm that, or just to further verify it, is on the shock towers underneath the fender. They should be partial stamping of the VIN on there as well, but it's hard to see. It's underneath the fender. Sometimes you can see underneath. Sometimes people will lift the fenders or take them off, or when they're being restored, you can get a good glimpse of that. This car has quite a few options on it from the factory. Some notable ones, but not all of them, is a shaker hood scoop, which is this piece here. The rear spoiler, and the rear slats on the back window. Also has a tack, power steering, clock, fold down rear seat, and rim blow steering wheel. In case you don't know what a rim blow is, it's not a new move that you try on your spouse after a few drinks. It's a special steering wheel that to operate the horn, you squeeze the wheel and that sets the horn off. It's a really nice feature for aggressive driving. Now I know all these options that it came with because I have one of the original Ford invoices that came with the car, which I'll put up here for you. You can see all the options it left with, and also the options that the Boss 302 got as a standard included with the Boss 302 package. And in case you don't have one of these with your car or any of the cars you're looking at, you can also further verify it with the Marti report, which if you're not familiar with that, it's a great resource for Fords from '67 and newer. Go on to Kevin Marti's page and get a report from basically everything that your car left with from the factory. Not that expensive and definitely worthwhile to get just to have a better idea what your car has. Now let's take a look underneath the hood and see what we've got going on there. So like I mentioned before, the shaker hood was an option for these cars, so not every single Boss got one. This car still has rev limiter. This piece down here all came on the Bosses. What's really neat about this, you see these spot welds here. These are still original. These, if a Mustang's going to rust out, these are one of the first spots it's going to go. Reason being is underneath here, there's no inner fender well to protect it, so when it runs through a couple rainstorms, the water gets sloshed in there in that overlap, and that's going to be one of the first places the moisture gets into. And just over time, you let time take its course. Same thing here, these little pieces, little spot welds here. Like I said before, it's numbers matching motor and trans. I can't really get in here with the camera, but I'll put up a picture. So the stamping in the back there, back down here on the back of the block, that's where the VIN is stamped into the motor. They started doing that in 1968 on the Fords. Another neat piece here is the buck tag. So it's got the VIN. Oops. And the options list, or I shouldn't say the list, but gives you some readout of the options the car came with. And another thing is the carb on this. I'm not going to take this off because it's pretty hard to do, the whole shaker assembly with the one hand. But here's a picture of the carburetor codes on it. And another neat thing about this particular car is it was built for California, so it has smog equipment that it had to have on it to be in compliance, and it's still there. A lot of people on not just Mustangs, but all kinds of cars take those off and they're lost. When we take a look in the trunk, you'll see there's also additional smog and emissions equipment that go into that make it unique in a weird kind of way. I don't know if it helps, but it's something hard to find, and it's on this car still. Take a quick peek in the trunk here. So we've got the spare. We do not have a jack. I'm still working on finding a piece for that. But take a peek here at nice and clean. Not going to get full video of the trunk space here. I just really want to show you this emissions system here set up going into the gas tank. If you want to see more pictures of the trunk, I've got plenty of photos of this car on our website, just CallawayClassics.com. But yeah, all these plastic pieces here there's lines coming off the fuel tank underneath that route into this. So again, just California only emissions. All right, get her closed up here. We'll start her up. Like I said earlier, this car had the option for fold down rear seat. So I'll put a picture of it here down here for you. Just because it's a little hard to put everything down with one hand, holding the camera. Nice clean interior, no rips, no tears. There's the clock that was an option. There's the buzzer going because it got the key in. All these cars came with 4 speeds. They also had reverse lockouts, meaning that you could not get the key out of the ignition until the transmission was in reverse. We've got our belt lights down here, that was an option. Parking brake light. So your belt light coming on. Tach works. Again, that was an option for this year, even on a Boss 302 performance package. Let's hop on out. Very good listen. Alright, at this point I'm going to go up and down the side of the body so you get a better idea of what it looks like. Pretty straight overall. Again, I'm just doing this to show what the body looks like, how the paint is. No major waves or dings or dents or anything like that. Hard to do it over the internet, but this is the best way I found to do it. Again, if you want detailed photos of this car, I have it all on our website. Get a video of underneath the car here for you. Just do a quick roll by so you can get a look at everything, and then I'll hop back up and look at a few more things in depth. So as you can see, the car's been undercoated, but everything looks very original. Still seems to have the original floors, held up well over the years. I have another video of a original Survivor Boss 302 that I'll link here so you can take a look for comparison. Notice the staggered rear shocks on this car. It's a Boss specific setup. The regular Mustangs didn't have those. Torque boxes seem to be in pretty good shape. We'll hop up here in a minute and take a look at those. Taking a look at the front suspension here. This car has front disc brakes. It's got a pretty neat tag lift over. Still has the Ford emblem on there. Also has the heat riser here coming off the exhaust manifold. Goes up to the snorkel intake above. Hard part to find. Not all these Bosses still have those on there. Take a look underneath the fenders here. Looks pretty nice and clean. Held up well over the years for its age. You can also notice that the fenders are rolled. So this section right here, pushed in. That's from the factory on the Bosses. It's not as out here with a baseball bat like they used to do back in the day. Take a look at the other side here. Same thing, pretty clean. Another Boss specific thing is the freeze plugs. On the block here, they're screw-in freeze plugs versus your traditional press-in style. And take a look, there's one over here on the other side as well. Get a better view of that one. There it is up there. While we're over here, check out the exhaust manifold. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's some casting codes on there. And then also we'll take a look at the transmission here. So it still has some markings on it. And this transmission and the motor are numbers matching, meaning that the VIN is stamped into them. So on the transmission you can't see it, I'll have a picture up, but it's above here. You can't see it from the bottom. You usually need a mirror to get to that. And then over here on this side we've got the casting codes, or casting numbers at the top. And also the transmission tag right here. Take a look at the floors here. Seem to be original. Overall it's held up pretty well. Take a look here. Like I said before, there's a lot of this thing was undercoated, so it has the T here. That's a nice sign. A couple years ago when you had a reproduction floor, they didn't have this part here. So if you ever see one, it's just a line across. Typically means the floors have been redone. So this section looks pretty nice. Doesn't look like anyone tried to use this as a jacking point. Not all bent. Drop downs are in pretty nice shape. Seem to be original. These pieces right here, let's get redone a lot. This side still has the grommet piece here for the drain. Take a peek at the rear end here. Also has some markings just like the transmission. And these have castings, casting codes I should say, up here. There's some there. And Got the rear end tag here. And drop down on this side. Take a quick peek inside here. Grab the other side for you real quick. Take a look at these floors and these pinch welds on this side. You can see a little bit of the undercoating coming off there. See some of the color coming through. Got to mention the torque boxes here. These are in pretty good shape as well on both sides. As most of you know, on Mustangs, those seem to go out. Some of the areas you always want to watch out for rot and rust, but overall this car has held up really well. And one last tidbit on the drop downs here. Check this out, this is pretty neat. Still has the part code. Really hard to see. So there it is. Alright, let's fire her up. Parking brake helps. Oh, there's one of our old cars. 91 bed. Just cruising through town of Marshall here. Speed limit's 25. Just in second gear. In case you live around the area, Northern Virginia, Marshall's a pretty cool town to check out. One stoplight town. And we got a school bus. Speedometer does work, seems to be pretty accurate compared to a phone. It's half throttle. Into fourth there. Nice and easy. Doing 55 now. Pretty straight, pulls a little to the right, probably the road pulling out. Pretty nice. Steering seems pretty good. I mean, it's an old Mustang, it has a little bit of play, but it's nothing crazy. Pulls the right just a touch, but nothing major. Good run. And that's the nickel tour. Thanks for checking out the video. I'll be making more of these in the future, so if there's anything that I missed or that you want to see more of, just let me know. Happy to incorporate it. And if you like this one, please subscribe. There'll be many more. And catch you on the next one.